Never thought a Tuesday afternoon at a corner store could teach me something life-changing. I was in line at Marty's Market, the kind of place where the fluorescent lights buzz just loud enough to remind you you're alive, and the air smells like a mix of rotisserie chicken and old newspapers. I was tired, hungover from a week that felt like it had no end, and scrolling through my phone to avoid making eye contact with the woman in front of me who kept humming Broadway tunes to herself. Loudly. Then she appeared. She was maybe in her 80s, dressed in a pale lavender cardigan that looked like it had been knitted by someone who believed knitting could slow time. She had a crooked smile, sharp blue eyes that seemed to pierce through the fluorescent haze, and she carried a canvas tote bag with a cat embroidered on it, looking way too smug for a bag. She didn't wait politely behind me. Oh no. She sidled up to the humming woman like she owned the universe and said, without preamble, "Honey, if you're going to sing, make it something worth remembering. Life's too short for jingles." I choked on a laugh. The humming stopped, and the woman glared, but the old lady just winked and shuffled toward the candy aisle. That was my first clue. She didn't do subtle. She did existential mic drops disguised as casual remarks. When it was finally my turn, I realized I had zero idea what I actually wanted to buy. I reached for a pack of granola bars and some almond milk. As I fumbled with my wallet, she suddenly appeared beside me at the register, just quietly, like a shadow that smelled faintly of vanilla and old books. "Cash or card, dear?" she asked. Her voice was gentle but had this undercurrent of mischief. Like she knew something you didn't. I muttered, "Card," and swiped. She watched me with that piercing gaze. Then, without warning, she leaned in and said, "You know, people spend their whole lives collecting things they don't need, thinking it'll make them happy. Look around." She gestured subtly at the store shelves, at the plastic-wrapped kale, at the gaudy chocolate display that screamed midlife crisis in a wrapper. "And for what?" I laughed nervously. "Yeah, I guess." "Guess?" she repeated, raising one eyebrow. "Life isn't about guessing, young man. It's about noticing, really noticing. But most folks are too busy humming jingles or scrolling their phones to see anything real." Her words hung there like the smell of burnt toast in the air. I wanted to brush it off, but something in the way she said it made me pause. There was no preachiness, no condescension, just raw clarity, like a cold splash of water in your face when you're halfway asleep. Then she tilted her head toward my granola bars. "Those? You don't really want them. You want the idea of them, that crunchy illusion of health. Go grab the chocolate," she said, pointing at a display of dark chocolate bars with sea salt. "Life's short. Indulge in something real." I froze. Had a stranger just told me to buy chocolate instead of something healthy? And somehow it felt profound. I laughed again, nervously this time, and swapped my granola bars for a dark chocolate bar. She smiled knowingly, like she had just approved the most important decision of my week. Then she leaned closer, lowering her voice just enough that only I could hear. "Here's the thing," she said. "People think wisdom comes from books or money or fancy degrees. But really, it comes from noticing patterns. Life has a rhythm. Some folks dance with it. Some folks step on their own feet. You, don't trip over yourself. You'll thank me later." And then, just like that, she shuffled out of the store, leaving me with my chocolate bar, my almond milk, and a sudden, dizzying awareness that I had just experienced something unexplainable. I didn't know it at the time, but that brief encounter was going to haunt me, shape me, and follow me into weeks I'd later think of as my training montage for adulthood. I just stood there, stupidly staring at the self-checkout screen, wondering if I should even bother thanking her. But she was gone, like smoke, and I knew I'd never see her again. I didn't see her again for a few days, and I started to doubt if she had ever existed. Maybe my brain had conjured an 80-year-old oracle in a lavender cardigan to deliver a cheap epiphany while I was hungover. But then, Thursday afternoon, there she was again, this time in the cereal aisle, inspecting Frosted Flakes like a detective scrutinizing a crime scene. She spotted me immediately. "Ah, there you are," she said, waving a finger like I was late for detention. "Can't let a young man wander aimlessly through life without guidance. Can we?" I laughed nervously. I guess not. Too much guessing. She wagged her finger. Life isn't a multiple choice test. You treat it like one. So, just wing it? Not wing it. Notice it. Observe patterns. Take small, obvious things seriously. Like cereal boxes. People overlook them. Look at the tiny print, the ingredients, the stories they tell. Every detail matters. Life's basically a cereal box. I blinked, half confused. Cereal can teach me something? Oh, honey. She leaned closer. Sweet bits, bitter bits, surprises. Sometimes a raisin makes it worth it. And crunch essential. Life without crunch is just soggy oatmeal. By checkout, she was there again, tapping a discounted apple. You look worried. Life stuff. Yeah, work bills. Decide which battles are worth the sweat. Most aren't. Don't chase approval like a dog chasing its tail. Notice, understand, move on. She added casually, never underestimate asking the right question at the right time. People are waiting to be asked. I just nodded, almond milk in hand, listening to life advice from an octogenarian in a purple cardigan. She smiled, winked, and shuffled toward the door. Notice the crunch, choose your battles, ask the questions that matter, and eat the chocolate when it calls. Walking to my car, I realized I hadn't just bought groceries. I had been handed tiny, almost ridiculous life lessons. Slowly, I began noticing patterns, not mathematically, but human patterns. Kindness, mistakes, moments that matter. Somewhere in aisle 7 of Marty's Market, the world had tilted a little, and I was finally paying attention. It was another Thursday. I almost didn't recognize her. Crouched over canned pumpkin like a general inspecting troops. Ah, there you are. Thought I'd have to send a search party, she exclaimed that I laughed nervously. I think I'm noticing more. Patterns, details, life in the aisles. She clucked. Finally. It's not fireworks, honey. It's quiet sparks. We walked to the checkout. She leaned in. Watch closely. Life is all about timing. Most people rush and miss everything. Even this moment. Even buying groceries? I asked. Even buying groceries, she smiled. Life happens between the cans and the checkout line. That's where magic sneaks in. As we placed items on the conveyor, I realized the lesson wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. Do you feel it yet? She asked. The threads connecting everything? I whispered. Yes, awareness is the real prize, she said, tapping her cane. And never fear asking the right question. That's how life teaches you what matters. She shuffled toward the exit, disappearing into sunlight, leaving me holding grocery bags and a sense that life whispers if you're willing to listen. I never saw her again. But sometimes, late at night, I think about aisle 7, the lavender cardigan, the crunch of cereal, and I smile because I'm finally paying attention.